Hello developers! In this video I'm going to present you Java 17 and its new language features which have been added from the previous long-term support release Java 11 up to Java 17. I'm going to present you language features which have an impact in your daily coding work. So for example, we will speak about text blocks, enhancements in the instance of. We will talk about innovations in the switch statement. We will talk about records, which are some kind of an immutable class. We will talk about sealed classes, and that is the content of this video today. You can read everything in my blog, which I'm sharing with you right now, and there you will find also some extra information like the random code generator. If you are interested in all the details about the Java 17 release, I recommend you to have a look at Wikipedia, which is linked here in my article. So check out this page, and here you can see all features which have been added to the Java 17 version. Why is Java 17 an important release? Yeah, today, as I make this video, Java 19 is already available, but Java 19 is not a long-term support release, but Java 17, it is a long-term support release. And that means Java 17 will get security updates and security support until the year 2031. And that makes it super interesting for enterprises, for big companies, or in general for companies who don't want to update their software all the time when a short-term support release like Java 18 or 19 gets out of support after a very short time, yeah, compared to this long-term support release. So, if you are interested in the features of Java 17 and you have using Java 11 before, yeah, you would scroll up this list because all the Java 16 features are also included in Java 17, and the same applies for 15, 14, and so on. Yeah, so feel free to check this. Today I'm going to present you, for example, also records, which have been introduced as a preview in Java 14, but with Java 15, or no, it was Java 16, the records have been an official feature, and since they are so interesting and important, I'm showing you this feature also in my presentation about Java 17. Okay, so let's switch to the coding part. I created a new project with Spring Boot. Not that Spring matters here in this presentation, it's only about the language features, but I like Spring a lot, yeah, so I'm using it mostly. And here I will set up a REST API, use the Java 17 language features in it, and test it all the time with Postman to prove that everything is working. Yeah. So let's talk first about the text blocks, which have been introduced or also earlier in Java 14 or 15. And they are, of course, part of Java 17. And if you are coming from Java 11, yeah, you would not know them before. So a problem with strings is they look like this. If you have a structured document like HTML, which goes over several lines, yeah, you have to concatenate it with string concatenation and those pluses, and every line is an own string. Yeah, so that makes it hard to read this HTML. Would it not be great to have it in a real HTML style? Yeah, that would be great. So let's do this with the feature of text block. The text block starts with 3 double quotes in a row, and then you can just take the text and bring it into your text block. You don't need the string concatenation anymore. Everything works within one line. So now I moved it up. Let's delete the old stuff. And you can see now we don't have any compile errors. We can also do this kind of string formattation with tabs. That works also. And now we have a nice text block. We don't need the additional quotes and string concatenation. Everything between those three double quotes is part of this string. So let's save it. Let's also start my Spring application to present it to you. I will call now a get method with Postman, and I will call /JDK17 so that you can see this text block in action. Won't be so spectacular because, as you see here, the text block looks exactly as a string in the text block which we have written. So we have all these line breaks, we have all the tabs, and that is really nice. Before with the strings it wasn't like that, or you would have to add additionally the special characters for the line break and for the tabs. So that is the first feature. Then there's also something else which I like a lot, and before I did this already like this, I used string format to replace those placeholders for digits here or for strings like this, and you can replace it in a string with a string format method. And this is kind of a method with three arguments. It has first the string, and then it has the stuff which shall be replaced inside this first string. And that goes simpler now. You can just call the new method formatted on the string, pass the objects which shall be replaced in this HTML string, and that's it. My Spring application starts always new. That is a feature which I enabled with Spring, Spring developer tools, and that's why I don't need to restart it anymore. And if I do now a new send request, it will look exactly the same because we did this string formatting before, and we are still doing it, but now with a more simple method call. Let's talk next about switch statements. I have also a post method in my application, so I prepared it here. I can send a post request to this URL. And if I call then again show items, we have now one item, and it's called Java 11, Java in capital letters, and it has an ID. And this is done currently by this post method. It has this big switch block, and there are already complaints about this switch block because we have here duplicated code, case 1 and case 2 have the same code. That was already addressable before. Like this, you could write case 3 double dot and then case 4 double dot, and that means that case 3 and 4 have the same code, which is this code. So with Java 17, this is simpler now. I can make a comma separated list as cases, like this. And now case 3 and 4 have also the same, but I get rid of one line of code. And here I can get rid of the whole duplication by making it like this. Okay, so case 1 and 2 change the item name into uppercase, and here we change the item name into lowercase. So let's test if it's working. The application does always a restart, so my old objects are gone. I will create new ones here. I use this format parameter to define the case. So let's do first case 1, which is the uppercase case, and then case 4, which will write the name Java in lowercase. Let's check if it is working. And we see the first element is Java in uppercase, and the second one has lowercase. Though this was also working. And then there is more about the new switch statement. Before, a switch statement was really some kind of control structure, but now it can be also part of an expression. So what I'm doing here is I created an object before. I made it null, and in this switch, depending on the case, I'm setting this object, like to the changed item or to string. Yeah, and then I add the object to this list of objects. And what I can do with this new switch statement, I can make it that it returns something out of this switch. Yeah, so this can now return the value for this object. And how is this working? Yeah, I have to define what I want to give back. Yeah, in case 1 and 2, I want to give back the item with the changed name. And you don't use return for it, you use a new keyword which is called yield. That has been chosen to make a difference between return, which means that you give something back from the whole method, and yield just gives something back from the switch statement. Yeah, and they decided to use different names for that. At the beginning, in an earlier preview of this feature, yeah, they used return. Okay, I need a semicolon now at the end of the switch statement to tell that this is now an expression and it gives something back. It's not a simple control structure like an if statement, and that's why we need now the semicolon. Okay, then here we have a compile failure, a compile error. So we have to do the same thing again. In this case, we don't need the break statement anymore, yeah, because yield is giving something back and then the switch ends. And in the default case, we need also yield as ending of the switch. And now we see no compile errors left, and we can test our application again. Yeah, at first in lowercase, and then let's go to the uppercase for the second item. Due to the restart, those items are lost now. If I refresh it, we see first item lowercase, second item uppercase. Okay, so that is new with switch. Yeah, the switch can give a value back, and the switch has the possibility to do this, bringing cases together. So let's check the next thing, which is the pattern matching for instanceof. So whenever we used instanceof before, typically we have seen in the next line of code a casting. Yeah, we checked that this object is an instance of Java 11 item class. And if that is the case, I had to do a casting so that I can use this casted item and get access to the methods which are defined in this Java 11 item class. And the new thing about the pattern matching is that I can directly do the cast when I do the instanceof check. Yeah, so I copy this variable name, I paste it here, then I can just delete this line of code, no compile error, which means that this is directly working. Then I can do even more. Yeah, as soon as I have casted this item, this object, as soon as I have casted it to the casted item, then I can directly work with it even in this if statement. And what I'm doing with this casted item, I'm checking if the name value is blank, so if it's an empty or blank string, and I don't want to have blank strings. Yeah, and in case that I have not a blank string, then I add this to my item list, so I can take this expression, do an AND, and put it together, and then I don't need this if anymore. I can directly add the casted item to the list of items. As you can see here, and I do this only if the casted item has a name which is not blank. Yeah, so that is the pattern matching for instanceof, also a new feature. And now let's check the next real big thing. Therefore, let's open the Java 11 item class. This is a classic Java class. Yeah, we have two attributes here, name and ID, and then we have a lot of boilerplate code. Yeah, we have the getters and getters. We have also a toString method, which we use in the API. Yeah, whenever we call it and we print this to see it, yeah, that is exactly what writes this Java 11 item like this. And unfortunately, I forgot to override the equals and the hashcode method, so there might be problems when we compare this Java 11 item class with other instances. Sorry, if we compare instances of this Java 11 item class with other instances of this class. Yeah, so the equals might not work because we have not overridden it. Okay, so since a long time there is this great library called Lombok, which helps you with that. It's independent of Java version 11, so I can use add data, and then I can get rid of all this boilerplate code here, because the add data class of Lombok is providing the getters, the setters. It is providing a default implementation of the toString method, which looks exactly like the one we had before, and it's implementing also the equals and the hashcode method. Yeah, so that is really a great thing to get rid of boilerplate code in Java 11 or earlier versions. In Java 17, we have another option to deal with this situation. We can use the so-called records. And I've prepared a record in this class. It's called Java 17 item. So the record, it looks like this. So here, let's get rid of this builder annotation first and just to check the record to see the difference. Yeah, here we have a name and an ID. And the Java 17 item, it has also a name and an ID. But it's not a class, it's now a record. And a record is an immutable class. So whenever the Java 17 item has been initialized once, you cannot change the name or the ID of it. Yeah, then it is immutable. The data class, which we have here on the right side, yeah, it has getters and getters, so you can change the name and the ID all the time. So these are two different things. And if you work a lot with streams and the stream API, in general, it's a good idea, or in general, if you work with functional programming, it's a good idea to work with immutable objects instead of mutable objects, yeah, because there you have always these kind of risks that it's changed somewhere and you didn't expect this change. But with immutable objects like the record, that's not possible. So the record is something else, and it's really something good, and we can use it in our controller. Yeah. So let's do this. We have here the Java 11 item, and I'm going to search and replace it now everywhere in the controller with Java 17 item, which is the record. So let's do this. Okay, done. Now I have some compile errors. Yeah. So the item which I have here is now of the type Java 17 item, but it does not have a getter for name. Yeah, so let's check the methods which the item is offering, and here we can see there is an object, a method called name and a method called ID, and that is the way how to get these attributes inside this Java 17 record. Yeah, you can address them by name and you don't have the prefix get. Yeah, so it's not a real getter. It's another way to get the name on the attribute. Sorry, to get the attribute which is called name. Yeah, so here we use get name and change it to uppercase. And now we have another compile error because, as I said, yeah, item is an immutable object. Java 17 item is immutable, and therefore there is no setter. What you have to do now is you have to create a new instance of Java 17 item, and it needs both parameters. Yeah, as you can see here, we didn't provide the parameters, and if we add now the name and the ID, yeah, this creation worked, and this is now the return value of my new switch statement. So we don't need this getter anymore. We create, based on this item, we want to change its name, and therefore we have to create a new instance of this record because it's an immutable object. We do now the same for the second case, but here we want to have two lowercase instead of two uppercase. So let's change also this and have it like that now. There is still one more compile error. Here we need also name instead of get name. No more compile errors left. And now let's test again our application. First, I want to add some new items. So let's do it first in uppercase, then once again in uppercase, and finally with format 4 in lowercase. And let's check the items, restart. So those old items are now gone. And as expected, we have 2 times uppercase and 1 times lowercase. So it's also working with the Java 17 items, which is now a record instead of a mutable class. We have now an immutable record. So it's not changeable anymore. You can use also Lombok in combination with the records. So if you have a lot of parameters, because your record has 7 or 8, it might be interesting to have a builder, and therefore I can use Lombok's at builder annotation. And then I can just use the builder of this Java 17 item. So let's do this in our, let's do this in our default case. So here I'm calling now Java 17 item.builder because now it has also a builder, and I can set the name to unknown format. I don't set an ID now in this case. I will just build it and give it back as a result of the switch statement. So let's check if this is still working. We pick now the case 9, which is a default case. So we created a new object, and now we should have only one object with unknown, unknown format, like you see here. And that proves that this is also working. So one more thing about the switch statement, it's also possible to use the arrow instead of the yield. So if you have just one line which you want to give directly back in this switch statement, you can use the arrow as you can use it in lambda expressions. It's not a lambda expression here in this case, but from the notation style, it looks like the same. So we can use this arrow, and then we get compile errors because it's not allowed to mix the double dot style with the arrow style. So we have to use the arrow everywhere. And then all compile errors are gone, and the switch statement will work. So let's check this. Let's add again the default case and the first case. And now we have again here at the beginning default case, and then we have the uppercase, which is the format 1. So this code is also working. So then there's another big thing which was introduced with Java 17, and that is the sealed class. So I prepared some classes for you, like currency. So this application has a class with the name currency, and in our application only euro and dollar are allowed currencies. We don't accept any other currency. And therefore, I can make a class. I would make an abstract class because I want to print it and I want to add to the double value the euro or the dollar sign. That is the logic I have in mind now. And I defined this class as a sealed class by using the keyword sealed. And then I have to define with permits which classes are allowed to extend the class currency. Yeah, so you have to give permission to other classes to extend a sealed class. So let's check the Euro class. Yeah, so Euro is another class which is allowed to extend currency. So here we are extending it, and then we are overriding this print value method. And if I would come now with a different currency like Bitcoin, and I want to define this as a currency in my application, I say extends currency. But then I get two compile errors. Yeah, the first one is about not having the unimplemented method. Yeah, so let's just add it. But then there is still a compile error. And here the error clearly says the type Bitcoin extending a sealed class currency should be permitted subtype of currency. Yeah, and that is not the case. Bitcoin is not a permitted subtype of currency because only euro and dollar are permitted subtypes, and that is why Bitcoin gets this compile error. So the euro is another class which is final. Final class means that it's not allowed for any other class to extend it. Yeah, so this is even more closed than the sealed class. Yeah, the sealed class defines which other classes are allowed to extend it, and the Euro class, which is here a final class, does not allow any extension. So let's check the dollar class as the third kind of new type of class, and this is the non-sealed class. So the dollar is allowed to extend the currency, yeah, because dollar is part of this permits list, yeah. But the dollar class is defined here as a non-sealed class. And that means the seal is broken in the dollar class. And that means any class is allowed to extend dollar and be part of the inheritance hierarchy of currency if it is a subclass of dollar. Yeah, probably that is not a good design to do stuff like this, but it's possible. So let's check it. Bitcoin extends dollar. So let's remove this override method because it's not needed anymore. And then you see the compile errors are gone. Yeah, dollar is a non-sealed class, and that means Bitcoin is allowed to extend it. If Bitcoin tries to extend euro, we get again a compile error, yeah, because euro is a final class and final class are not allowed to be extended. Okay, yeah, so that is the new feature of sealed classes. I can think of use cases where a developer provides a library for other developers, and this library has its own data model. And if you don't want to allow the users of your library to extend the data model, yeah, then you could seal it. And that helps to make this library to be used in the expected way and not change it by extending the data model of this public interface for this library. Yeah, so that is just a use case I have in mind about the sealed classes. Yeah, that is now the end of my presentation. If you are interested in more features, yeah, so check my blog article. There's also code examples about what is it about the random generator, which is something new. Yeah, there is a new and improved random number generator, so you can check this. There is also a new preview feature which is called pattern matching for switch. There you can have also a case of type with for value null. You can do this kind of pattern matching, yeah, case int stream, then you can define it. So you can directly cast this stream here in this example in integer stream, and use it. Yeah. So that is something you can do with this new kind of pattern matching switch, but that is still a preview feature. Even in Java version 19, it's a preview feature. Yeah. So if you're interested in it, check it, but I would not say this is now a super important feature for now. Yeah, because probably it's not a good idea to use these preview features in real productive code, because yeah, they might change with the next Java version and then they might not work as expected. And yeah, this one is exactly a good example. Yeah, here you see how this preview feature worked with Java 17. I could do this case in stream ES and then check if this integer stream is parallel. And in the Java 19, yeah, you would have to write here a new keyword which is called when. But this is still kind of a preview feature, so it might change again. So let's come to the final words about the new Java version 17. Here I checked another internet page of Opta Planner, and there they did some kind of performance and benchmarking, and they figured out that Java 17 is 8.66% faster than Java 11. So if you just update your code from Java 11 to 17, you would get a performance boost of nearly 10%. Yeah, it depends on the methods you are using and the cases and so on. So you might have even a faster performance tuning, yeah, because they figured also out that there are cases where it's faster. But yeah, in average, probably you would get this kind of performance boost by doing just the update. Check out the Wikipedia page to see all other features which have been introduced in Java 17. From my point of view, yeah, it's a good update. It's not like a big game changer like it was with Java 11 or Java 8, yeah, but it's really a good update, and I'm happy to switch to a new long-term support release after 3 years being with Java 11. So if you liked my video, yeah, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to get informed about other interesting coding videos in the Java world, Kotlin world, or Spring world. Yeah. So see you next time. Bye bye.